Hey, this is Tournament Takeaway with Fish on a Heater, where we take a look at a battle and break it down to see what we can learn from it and take that knowledge into future battles. Changing the layout of this a little bit, the original idea of the Tournament Takeaway idea was to have like a little bite-sized piece that you can, look at for 5-10 minutes and take it from there. So I want to try and get back to that idea, and hopefully if I can do that, then it means I can pump these out a little more often than once a week. So we're going to get into it. This is what was my first battle for Season 3 of the Arena against Pang in our Arena Australis Discord. It is, of course, a Sunrise Cup tournament. Here we go. So starting out with the Mantine versus Vigoroth. Now let's take a look at that matchup. Vigoroth versus Mantine. Let's go with we'll click on the 2/2 shields here. So Mantine's winning that quite comfortably. That is, of course, because of the power of Bubble Beam. Those bubbles are doing 6 damage every attack, so that is a decent amount. That is 2 damage per turn. Those body slams, they start out doing about almost a third damage to a Mantine, and then with each Bubble Beam, those body slams do less and less damage. So by the time we've been Bubble Beamed twice, it's gone from 34 damage down to 23. And for a standard Mantine, you're looking at 120 HP. So after you've been Bubble Beamed twice, it's taking 6 body slams to KO a full Mantine. So what I did here was fired my first body slam, because that's doing, like we said, just under a third HP. And then in comes the first Bubble Beam. So now this is where it becomes a lot harder for the Vigoroth to beat the Mantine. This is why in Sunrise Cup, Mantine is a counter to Vigoroth, because those Bubble Beams really seem to affect it a lot. Now, it shields the second one, which I think was a mistake, because it's a little bit hard, because especially in the Sunrise Cup, you don't want to spend your shields too early. But if you plan on staying with this matchup, I just noticed that that's a funny pose that Vigoroth's in. If you want to stay in this matchup, you got to shield the first body slam. If you shield any subsequent body slams, then you're not getting as much use out of your shield as what you would otherwise. So if you want to stick with that matchup, shield the first body slam. Now, I shielded this here expecting an Ice Beam. How much does an Ice Beam do? 39% damage. So I didn't need to shield this, but I did. I would not have been KO'd. Now these body slams are doing even less damage. And I switched out there because I didn't want to have to be put to another decision. So at that stage, I was getting close to a KO. Might have been able to survive still, but I was getting close to a KO range from an Ice Beam. So I didn't want to have to make a decision. I'm already down 1 shield. Shields are very important in this cup. If I keep that Vigoroth in and I face a charge move, either it's going to fire an Ice Beam, and that would come very, very close to KOing me, or I've used my second shield, or it'll fire a Bubble Beam. And if I don't shield that, great. If I do, then I've wasted a shield. I didn't want to have to be put to that decision, so I switched out to try and catch that move. And it doesn't matter at this point whether it's hit by an Ice Beam or a Bubble Beam, because, you know, I can still do plenty of work with that. Out comes the Cherrim. I went with Ice Beam. I like throwing Ice Beam first from a Mantine if it's going against a Pokemon that will be really hurt by it, like this Cherrim would. So say Galarian Stunfisk, I don't usually throw Ice Beam first because, you know, they're not doing that much damage. I think you're getting more use from the Bubble Beams, the super effective Bubble Beams, dropping that attack than you are from hitting it with Mantine's version of a nuke. Let's check out this this matchup. So Cherrim with Razor Leaf, and I'm gonna guess it had Dazzling Gleam. I don't think I ever saw that second charge move, and let's swap that around. We'll always put our own Pokemon first, and we got one shield each, so it's less clicks if we do it that way. Okay, so those Razor Leafs doing 7 damage, 4.5 per turn. The Mantine is winning that by getting a Bubble Beam bait, at which point the Razor Leafs are doing... Sorry, it was 3.5 damage per turn before, and then 3 damage there. And then the Ice Beam doing 87 damage to the Cherrim, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, if the Cherrim gets hit by an Ice Beam from Mantine, that hurts. So it does go through, which is fantastic. Even if it doesn't, even if it does get shielded, now my opponent's on 0 shields, which is a big deal. I do get a quick call from David Hefez, and I had to call him back later. That was, I don't think, the right move from Pang. The Mantine was just able to was on low enough HP that it was able to be bubbled down, and that just gave my Mantine a lot more energy. Granted, depending on what he has in the back, that energy probably won't be able to do a lot of damage, but it'll enable me to get to Bubble Beams, and when he's got one more Pokemon left, being hit by Bubble Beams becomes so much worse because you can't switch it out. You just have to deal with that lowered attack. So that last Pokemon is the Galarian Stunfisk. So I managed to get to 1 Bubble Beam. Do I get to the second? Probably not. Or just. So now I've got all the options in the world here. You saw I had Swampert and Vigoroth. I could have probably just countered this thing down, because you can see, because it's been debuffed, that Rock Slide was not even enough to kill me. Now I finally get that last shield, and now out comes Swampert. I shielded this just as a matter of good principle. And take it out. So what could my opponent have done differently to flip that matchup? Let's see. So shooting that first Body Slam would have actually given it a little more HP to potentially manage to get off another charge move against my own Mantine, rather than letting it get farmed down. Let's try and skip ahead to that point. A little further along. There's the call from David. Got 3 bubbles off. How much energy did it have already? Oh, that's right. It fired that charge move before switching out, didn't it? Cool. So, one more Bubble Beam would have enabled me. I think one more Bubble Beam might have fainted it. How much does a Bubble Beam do to a Mantine? 6.6. I think if it had gotten to a Bubble Beam, that might have KO'd me, and then the Stunfisk would have taken out the Vigoroth, but I had Swampert in the back as well, so having that whole Pokemon there would have been a huge difference. If I hadn't saved that Swampert for the end, that Mantine and the Cherrim are really, really good against the Swampert. So that was kind of lucky on my part. The way it kind of panned out with the matchups, those leads, there wasn't really much Pain could do. So that is that for today. I will see you guys in the next video. Not going to promise exactly when that video will be right now, but I will see you very soon.